Black Friday is coming, and for the adults in your life who love the coolest toys, well, there's something for them this year too. Bartesian is the premier craft cocktail maker that automatically makes more than 60 seasonal and classic cocktails, each in under 30 seconds at the push of a button. And right now, Bartesian is having a huge site-wide sale. You can get $100 off any cocktail maker or cocktail maker bundle when you spend $400 or more. So, if the cocktail lover in your life has been good this year, or the right kind of bad, get them Bartesian. At the push of a button, make bar-quality cosmopolitans, martinis, Manhattans, and more. All in just 30 seconds. All for $100 off. Amazing toys aren't just for kids. Get $100 off a cocktail maker when you spend $400 through Cyber Monday. Visit bartesian.com/cocktail. That's BARTESIAN.com/cocktail.
Welcome to Mind Love Premium, episode 90. Today's episode is all about the shoulds that are ruining your life.
People will be like, I don't even know what I want. And I'm like, I know, because you've been living unconsciously by shoulds your entire life. But I understand some people have no idea. And I'm like, well, that's where you start, by starting to question every single one of the shoulds. Then you do learn what it is that works for you and doesn't. And also seeing that we're always changing, it gives you this access point to come to yourself and then start to trust yourself more. Shoulds, it's like looking outside of yourself. Someone else give me the answer. Is this okay? What do you think? And want is in some ways, again, confronting, because you're asking yourself and coming back to yourself and giving yourself that space. But I felt that energy shift.
If you're new to Mind Love, first, I am so glad you're here. And second, don't forget to hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. Giving your mind a little love isn't just a one-time thing, it's a way of life. Plus, more subscribers helps me attract more amazing guests and gives you more opportunities to change your life. So don't forget to subscribe. Do you keep shoulding all over yourself? Shoulding on your life? Are you tired of your own shoulds? Are you just marinating in the gross, hot stench of your shoulds right now? Am I taking this metaphor too far? Or will I keep going for shoulds and giggles? Too far? Yeah, I felt it too. The more I reflect on the word should, the more I realize that I don't need it at all. Honestly, what point does it serve? Other than to bring up feelings of inadequacy, shame, or frustration. The word itself is inherently negative. It's an active form of self-criticism. Plus, it immediately takes me out of the present moment. It either sheds light on something that I feel obligated to do but feel bad that I'm not, or something I feel bad about not doing in the past. And the keywords there are feel bad. So why would I want to consciously use a word that makes me feel bad? And the thing is, a lot of times these shoulds aren't even ours. The reason that we feel like we should do something is because that's what we've seen modeled, or other people have expressed that it's important, or we've gotten the message from somewhere. But maybe the reason that we aren't doing it is because that specific belief about what should be doesn't match what our true selves think are important. I have some big shoulders in my family. And one of the ways that it affected me actually wasn't people telling me what I should do all the time, but it was hearing about what they thought other people should do. The way someone should parent a child. The way a daughter should talk to her mother. The way a home should look. The way a person should dress. The way a friend should respond. It's like they're proclaiming these unwritten rules of society that we should all conform to in order to be good enough. I think this is actually one of the biggest dangers of gossip that people don't talk about. It's not just about talking behind someone's back or sending negative energy toward an unsuspecting person, although those things suck too. But we hold that negativity. We sink into our lower selves because we think it feels good, like talking about them lifts us up somehow. But really, it just reinforces all of these beliefs of the way things should be by pointing out who's doing it wrong. And then we're the ones who have to carry those beliefs with us. We're the ones who feel the burdens of imaginary limitations and boundaries that we create. And most of the time, we don't even realize it. We don't even realize it's the pile of shoulds that we're sitting in that's keeping us stuck. The energy of words is a powerful force. And sometimes the way we speak about a problem, about ourselves, about other people, is what holds the energy that either keeps us where we are or helps us move in another direction. And sometimes even something as simple as a change of words can be the catalyst for opening up to things that we didn't even realize was possible. So that's what we're talking about today. Our guest is Tricia Huffman, aka Your Joyologist. She's a mental health and mindset expert known for sharing real talk with heart, calling you to uncover and honor who you are. So 3 key things we will learn are how to recognize the shoulds that are at the root of your doubts, fears, resentment, and shame, how to call out the BS stories that you create and believe about yourself, and how to stop beating yourself up over the should-haves and what already happened. Before we go deep today, I want to give you a little gift, and I want to give it to you every single day. It's called the Morning Mind Love. I know how life can be. You're all fired up after an inspiring episode, and then a new day or a new challenge comes at you, and it's just hard to keep up that energy. Well, the Morning Mind Love is kind of like an oracle from your higher self to help you start each day with a positive focus. Plus, when you sign up, you get 2 free gifts, a 30-minute binaural meditation and 30 days of journaling prompts to help you remember who you truly are. And it's all completely free. So join over 9,000 people and go to mindlove.com to sign up or text the word morning to 33777. And now let's welcome Tricia Huffman to the show.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
So what's your story? Or really, what was the moment that you started questioning everything you thought you knew?
Ha! I love that. So what's your story? You know what? I feel like I've always been a questioner, and I love that about myself. And it's something that I really see now as a gift, but I do remember at a time like feeling like, oh, does this mean like I'm nosy or like I'm, like, why can't I just like, I got like shut up a lot as a kid too. So like, but now I really see how my curiosity and questioning has helped me. So I feel like there were 2 pivotal moments in my life though that really shaped who I am and how I move through life. And one of those was when I was 15, a freshman in high school. I had like chronic pain and all sort of like issues with my health, but nothing that was like super serious. It's like, a lot of stomach problems and like achiness. So would go to lots of doctors, but not get any diagnosis. So I had that going on, but also just, being 15 and being a freshman in high school and just like feeling this like craving to both fit in and stand out, like wanting to be the one everybody liked, but like, so what is that? What do I do? Like, what music do I like? What do I wear? Like this interesting thing where I think we can still, no matter what age you are, can find ourselves doing where it's like, we are owning who we are, but it's like, we're really going through all of these like should files. Like, wait, is it okay for me to wear this? Is it okay to like this music? What does that mean about me? So I kind of just really came to the end of my rope. And I did ponder ending my life a lot back then. And I actually had like, my family, my mom was taking me to get all sorts of, taking me to all sorts of specialists. I was, I got invited to all parties and stuff. Like I wasn't like left out but I still felt that. I still felt like nobody really knew me, even though I had friends and everything. But I just really felt so isolated and alone. And so I thought about ending my life a lot. And there was a moment where I really was just like had a breakdown and gave myself the choice. Like you either got to follow through with that and stop just thinking about it, or like make a change. And the way I talk about it, it sounds like it was like very linear, but like I said, it was really like kind of even a mental break where I was like drawing in red lipstick on the mirror. And what it came down to was like, you can keep living, you're either going to end your life or something has to change. And how I felt was like, I really couldn't control the physical pain that I was in, but could I do something about the emotional pain? Right. And that language, that's what I give it now. But like really just seeing how living in this, like, what am I should I do? What should I like? What should I say? Like trying to put the attention more on what do I want? What do I think? What feels right to me, instead of looking outside of myself? Like, is this okay? What do I want to do? What should I do? What should I like? All of that. So that was a real life-changing moment that I chose to live my life. And I really feel that every day, even on, harder days, that it's this reminder of like, okay, wow, a lot's going on right now that I don't like or want to deal with. And I'm in a hard time. And I'm choosing that I'm alive today. So it's not like, okay, don't ignore the harder stuff, but it's like, all right, I'm alive. This is my life. So that's something that I really have presence to daily. So that really shaped me. And I will say that still to this day, it is a constant struggle to come back to, what do I think? What do I feel? What do I want? And give that more of the attention than what do I think people may think of me when I, do something or make the choice or whatever.
Right. And when I first think about like, trying to fit in too much, like, are my clothes okay? Is this okay? I think back to high school, and there are so many examples of that, like you're like trying to conform so hard. And part of me has wondered, I wonder if high school is still like that. I bet it is to some degree, even though I feel like as a society, we put a little bit more pressure or put a little bit more importance on individuality than we did before. I think we've learned some things since I was in high school. However, when I was really pondering this, I was like, well, I don't think it's that much better in my life most of the time if I wasn't doing the conscious work around it, And then we just had high school. Now we have Instagram and our Facebook groups.
Yeah.
And oh my God, there is nothing more cutthroat than like a new mom Facebook group where everyone thinks they know what they're doing, but nobody actually does. And you write something and then all of a sudden all these people pile on you and you're like, oh my God, you're trying to like walk it back, edit your comment. It's so insane. And so I don't know if we've made progress from high school. What are your thoughts?
No, exactly. And that's what I'm saying. Like still to this day, right? So I have had that awareness, and then more that comes from like, even what I ended up like committing my life to, like sharing these messages and helping other people to shift that. But that doesn't mean like, it's not like, oh, great. So I cured myself back when I was 15 or this other pivotal moment that I had or whatever. No, it's like you said, a daily moment to moment conscious awareness of, whoa, what am I feeling right now? Like, what's going on? Oh, I'm judging myself. I'm feeling like I'm not enough. I'm in a doubt. I'm in a fear, like that. I'm really tuned into what I'm thinking and feeling, and then being like, wait, where is this coming from? That so much of it is this like comparing ourselves to others or worrying about what other people will think of us. And so like, wow, okay, well, what do I think? Do I really believe that? And it's on so many different levels, like the small stuff of like stepping outside my door to not even do anything important in what I'm wearing that day. Like every single freaking day, that still will mess with me because of like diet culture, body image stuff that I was raised with.
Same. I had a full-blown eating disorder for over a decade. And I notice things now about maybe family members that I was raised around or whatever, and different word things, just choices of words that it's funny when you watch another person, I feel like it's so much easier to see like, oh, if you just switch this word, your life might be different. But it's so much more difficult to see when we're doing it. Isn't that always the case though? Yeah, we can tell everyone else what's wrong with them, but not necessarily ourselves. And so how do we get clear on what areas of our lives that we're putting that sort of should pressure on ourselves? Because if I'm being totally honest, when I first started reading your book, I was like, I'm probably pretty good. And then I start looking through examples and I'm like, I don't know if I'm that good at all. So where's that first step to really identify where it's affecting us?
This episode is brought to you by Etsy.
Oh.
Hear that?
Okay. Thank you.
Etsy knows these aren't the sounds of holiday gifting. Well, not the ones you're hoping for. You want squeals of delight. Happy tears.
How did you?
And spontaneously written songs of joy.
I am so happy. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
Okay, the song needs a bit of work, but anyway, To get those reactions, make sure everyone on your list feels heard with handmade, handpicked, and designed gifts from small shops on Etsy. Gifts like personalized jewelry, custom artwork, cozy style items, vintage pieces, and home decor to celebrate all of your favorite people and their specific kind of special. For original gifts that say, I get you, Etsy has it.
Where's that first step to really identify where it's affecting us?
Yeah. And so that's what I was gonna say. That was like the first pivotal moment for me. The second was when my father passed away suddenly. And it made this stop in my life of, I thought I was living a dream life. Like I was living a dream life. And it wasn't a thought. Like I was doing everything I wanted. I had created a career for myself where I really had to fight to be in it. I loved it. I was touring the world as a sound engineer for Grammy Award winning artists. I traveled on my own when I wasn't on tour. I was really fully living my life. I was living it up. But when my dad passed away, suddenly it shocked me so much. And I ended up giving up my job and just giving up my life. Really. I was like, wow, things need to shift. It was more that I saw, okay, I've been living my life this way this whole time. And I feel really great about it. Not that I was, perfect or anything, but it's but also it felt like it was no longer enough for me to just be doing these things and not shake other people up. I really just wanted to wake people up to, your life could end tomorrow. You don't know it. And why are you being so miserable? And I feel this bothers me to this day, walking around the street and just seeing people walking, just looking unhappy. And again, life is hard. There's a lot going on. And so some people, it's not saying you don't have reason to, but also is it something that really does, mean that much that's making you miserable? Or is it just this stuff that really you're making harder for your self? So I didn't know what I was going to do. And so what I ended up doing, I actually gave up the word should. So that is what my book that you mentioned, F the shoulds, do the wants, get clear on who you are, what you want and why you want it. And it's not this big want. That's in the daily moment. I'm getting clear on coming back to, wow, what am I thinking right now? What am I telling myself? Why am I thinking this? What do I want? This is this constant check-in. And when I chose to give up that word, that is what I'm, I gave you a long answer for what your question is, but I wanted to give it some backstory. But so what I ended up doing, I didn't know that this was going to change my life and give me so much self-awareness that totally has changed everything for me. And like I said, it's still that's how I'm so aware of things when I step out that, the door, I mentioned, that I notice those things that they come up and then I can be all right, there's some more BS stories that I don't need to believe. What do I want to believe? So how I got that awareness was that I really committed to not using the word should. And like you mentioned, you were oh, I thought I was good. I thought I was the last person who lived a life of shoulds. I did not live a life of shoulds. I lived a life of my wants. But once I focused on the actual word, I saw where all day long I was, oh, what should I do today? What should I eat? What should I wear? I should really, send that message to so-and-so. Oh, look at that person's doing. I should do that. So these small things, everything seems so small and unimportant. So I've been talking about this for 10 years before I wrote the book. I feel most of the times people disregard it or yeah, that sounds really cool for you, Tricia. Good job. But they don't try it. They're yeah, I know. F the shoulds. Yeah. F the shoulds. Yeah. Don't should all over yourself. And not paying attention to the actual word usage. So for me, I realized how much it was in my language. And so then it made me constantly come back to myself and question what I was saying, doing, thinking, believing, and why. And sometimes it was just still choosing the same thing. It was just switching it out for, oh, right, this is my choice. I want to do this. And sometimes okay, I should exercise today. Oh, wait, okay, I should exercise. Okay. Well, why do I feel I should exercise? And is it, because I've been conditioned that you should be exercising X amount of days of this and that, but really maybe I need to rest today, or wait, I want to exercise because when I do exercise, I feel more alive, more present, less stressed. So it also just gave me this constant access point to, again, what I was doing and why, and also the conditioning that lied underneath it. And it uncovers honestly a lot of unpleasant stuff. Like, oh, wow, that's me judging myself. Oh, that's me living in comparison. But by facing that stuff, you can question it and, work to transform it and think different things. And it's all about meeting yourself with love and compassion, not like, oh, I'm so mean to myself. Why aren't I nicer? Why haven't I gotten through this yet?
Well, I will tell you, I am one of the people that is taking your advice, and I'm getting rid of the word should. I'm going to try my hardest. I will definitely have slip ups, but when I was reading through your examples of the words to change, that I could feel an energy shift in my body around certain things. I could feel the resistance sort of melt away. And maybe that's true for everybody. Maybe I'm hyper aware of my body, which could be both things. But I also think that it has something to do with the fact that my mom shoulds a lot, and from a place of love. Like, that's how she gives her guidance or her advice, or how she feels like she's a part of my life. And I've always had a huge resistance to any advice from my mother. I'm like a bratty teenager, just like, did you just tell me what to do? I'm not eating all day today if you're telling me to eat. It's like
you just can't, like, even if she's saying exactly what you do, like, need to hear. Nope.
And something happened early on with my baby. I realized, like, I could not take any advice from her, and I was trying to change my response. And so I had to, like, go through a whole process of, like, taking a deep breath and meditating. And all she was telling me was, like, I might want to get a water cup for my son that he can, like, leave on the ground, so it was like a really good advice, but I, like, almost just shut her down, like, stop telling me what to do. But then finally I was like, I'll try that. But it's funny because I think I have so much resistance around the word should. The moment that I'm telling myself what I should do, I have a very similar resistance. And so all of a sudden, I don't feel it in the same way. I don't feel like, no, I'm not doing that. But I'll feel it in the form of procrastination, or just not doing it, or beating myself up, or just feeling less good about myself in general. And so it comes out in all these other ways, but because there's not, like, a dialogue in the moment, I don't necessarily recognize it. I have learned that I can create that dialogue. I just need space and, like, a moment to breathe. And it goes back to what you were just saying about asking yourself, like, should I really do this? Do I want to do this? Why do I want to do this? And getting to the root of it. But so often we live our lives just through our habits, just so habitually, everything's automatic, that we don't bring thought to any actions. And so we don't even really realize that we're feeling resistance. We don't realize that our word choice is holding us back. And we just know that, oh, I'm not good at getting stuff done, or I procrastinate too much, or I don't always follow through on my habits or my goals. And so just taking that space a little bit to have a moment and have a dialogue with yourself, the answers that you're looking for have the chance, the space to come up.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what, like, why it was so mind-blowing for me back when I started this, because I am a, kind of fast talker, fast thinker. And it made me slow down so much to just, again, when I would hear that word, pause. Oh, wait, what did I just say? Or what did I think? What's going on? And for me to then have this awareness around it and allow myself to dive in. And that's where then again, we start to actually get to know ourselves and because people will be like, I don't even know what I want. And I'm like, I know, because you've been living unconsciously by shoulds your entire life. That I understand some people have no idea. And I'm like, well, that's where you start, by starting to question every single one of the shoulds. And then you do learn what it is that works for you and doesn't. And also seeing that we're always changing. But it gives you this access point to come to yourself and then start to trust yourself more so that you can. And that's what I'm sharing in the book too. It's these were not all things that I realized, back in 2008 when I gave the word up. It's now seeing over a decade of committing to this, how deeply it's within us. And like I said, that I still have to overcome it every single day, multiple times. And so I really committed to not using the word unless, I'm giving it, we're talking about it, or I'm giving, oh, that's me saying I should do this. I'm naming it, I'm aware of it. But like you were saying, the inner dialogue, I don't necessarily hear the word in my head, But I then was able to tune into the energy of it. Cause like when you said, I noticed that right away too. When I found the word, cause I committed to giving it up, I was like, whoa, this word tries to come out of my mouth all the time. Like, what am I going to say? I have to have a word to replace it. And so that's where my swapping for want came from. Cause I would be like, we should, what do I say if I'm not saying should? I'm so confused. I don't know how to say this now. And so I just needed a word to replace it to be able to finish my sentence because I was so committed. And then when I realized that want just felt so good and different, and I felt that energetic shift, like I was coming back to myself. Like shoulds, it's like looking outside of yourself. Someone else give me the answer. Is this okay? What do you think? And want is in some ways, again, confronting because you're like asking yourself and coming back to yourself and giving yourself that space. But I felt that energy shift. And so because of that, all of this time staying so committed, I feel the energy in my body. So I can just be moving along with my day and then be like, oh, what's going on? I feel this like heaviness, like what's going on? And then again, like, so sometimes I don't even hear the word or feel the word. It's just getting so in tuned with, oh, what's going on? I feel, oh, what am I feeling? Oh, this is worry, and like naming the feelings. And I can usually end up relating everything back to should, which is what I end up doing in the chapters of the book. Like I said, oh, this came from comparison. This, like, I feel funky because I saw open social media and saw people doing this. And then I guess I got like in some comparison mode, but I shut up the app and then I kept going with my life. But then like 2 hours later, I'm feeling this funkiness and realize like, oh, it's because I got, feeling this not enoughness from that. And so again, while I'm bringing myself back to the attention of my feelings, then I can clear up what's going on and come back to, oh, who am I? What do I want? Okay, what can I do to support myself in moving through this? Or what is actually happening here? And so constantly like coming back to myself, even when I don't necessarily like hear my word or caught myself in a should. Or like, oh, right, this is procrastination because I feel like I should be doing the work that I'm doing.
Yeah, it's so true. I love the sentence that you wrote in your book that it's not just a word exchange, it's an energy exchange. And when you practice something like this, I feel like in the beginning of the journey, it starts out as more like, oh, I just caught myself saying the word should again. But then as you get more adept to it, you're like, something feels off. Mm-hmm. And then you can go the opposite way rather than like, oh, I said the wrong word. Is this what's causing this feeling? Oh, I can see there's underlying feelings there. Maybe that's why there's resistance. Then it starts to be like, I feel a little off or I feel some resistance. Why? Maybe I need to go reframe the way I'm thinking about what I'm about to do. Because if I actually want to do it, if there's reasons for me to be motivated to do it, and I find those rather than just this random pressure coming from God knows where, then maybe I might be likely to follow through. But I can almost hear people saying, well, you can't just do what you want all the time. We've got obligations, we've got families that we've got to be there for, do things for. I have a 15-month-old. He's definitely not doing things for himself. And so what do you say to someone who says that shifting from shoulds to wants might automatically mean that they only do what serves themselves rather than being a kind or selfless person that helps the people around you as well?
Yeah, well, I will say I definitely addressed what I think covered most of the things in my book like this. So there is like, Chapter 9 is, but I really don't want to. And Chapter 10, I want to, but I don't have time. Or like, I really did look at different things because I get that. And so for me, again, I committed to this fully. And what it ended up being was that it made me so aligned in everything I was doing and felt and do feel of integrity for everything that I'm doing and not feel like, oh, I just am saying yes to this, or I'm just doing this because I should. It's really, again, taking the space and time with things like, okay, why do I want to do that? It's like, okay, great. Like maybe it's, oh, I'm going to help my friend move this weekend. Or maybe even like, yeah, I said yes to going to their plans, but I don't really want to go out, but I should because that's what a good friend does. Or I should help her move because she helped me move, or whatever the thing is that it can feel like it's not like woo, I really want to do this. Then it's looking at it deeper and again and seeing, well, why would I want to? Because, they help me. But that's not even enough. It's like, they help me. And I really like want to show up as a supportive friend. So, okay, I do want to. So it's like finding your want in it, but also, I share in there too, like, it's okay to change your mind. It's okay to like make a compromise with yourself. Like perhaps like you said yes to something when it sounded good. And then how often do we make plans or say yes to things? And then when it actually comes around, we don't want to, because we like just want to be doing what we like. I just want to stay home, or I don't want to do anything. Right. So even being able to shift that perspective. Well, why did I say yes in the first place? Or also, well, why do I feel like I should go? And, why does it feel wrong to cancel? So also like allowing yourself that space again, like, well, okay, I want to show that friend that I support them, but I'm not really feeling up to it today. So what do I want to still show that friend I support them? So I'm going to send them a loving message telling them, I really wish I was there. I support them. And also like, let's you and I do this, or what, like, it's like figuring out another way to show that support. So again, it's constantly like, it's not always that you're only doing what you want. Even like I talk about like doing the dishes or cleaning, like running errands, things that I don't want to do. For some of those things, it's like, well, great. I use Instacart because I really don't like running errands, but still sometimes there's times I'd have to run the errands. So getting myself into the mentality of, again, like, okay, this is my choice. I'm choosing to do this. How can I make this then feel more fun or feel more easy? And so figuring out ways to make things work for you so they can be more of a want, and just switching even that energy to like, right, this has to get done. So I'm choosing it, and not feeling this resentment for your friends, for what you said you were going to do, for like the fact that like, yeah, you have to pay bills or go and buy the toilet paper or whatever the thing is. It's really like you're just being so present with what you're doing, saying, committing to, and why. And again, sometimes that's maybe you don't actually want to do that thing, and it's okay to change your mind and that. And then also it's looking at, okay, how can I reframe this to, all right, I want to do the dishes because what do I want? I want the end result. So sometimes it's looking at, I want to the end result. So, okay, this is my choice. I got to get it done. So again, sometimes it's just like shifting your energy and getting that this is your choice, and not, and that's the thing. I think a lot of people do move through their life with a lot of resentment.
Yeah, one of the things that I noticed an energy shift around is, this is going to sound silly, but like just having a cleaner home right now. I've always been sort of cluttery, so I go through these times of like, I'll clean my house. It'll look immaculate. I like to have a cute home, but then I like get ready for a day and everything's everywhere again. And then I'm not really great at cleaning up as I go. And that's been even more difficult since I've had a child. And so the amount of times I put him down for the night, and then I look around and there's toys everywhere. And like, I haven't been able to touch the dishes because he wouldn't let me and all this stuff. And I'm like sitting there on my recliner and I'm just like, I just don't want to do this. And it's like, well, you can't put it off because this happens every single night. And one of the ways I've been able to get up and do that is that I want to be the type of person that doesn't procrastinate on everything, or that just does the things that need to be done. I see other people doing this, and so rather even than just the end result, which sometimes I can't even get myself, I'm like, yeah, I want it to be clean, but I want somebody else to do that for me. Mm-hmm. Then it's like, yeah, but then I'm just building this neural pathway that I'm not the type of person that gets up and does this for just one more day. And it's going to be even harder to break. And so might as well start that pattern disruption now. But then a lot of the things that we've been talking about are amazing at really getting clear on like, okay, are you living the life that you really want, that your soul desires, or are you going by what everyone else thinks that you should do? Like, is this going to make you happy, or do you just think that you should? But one of the things that you talk about shoulds is that they're related to our fears and our doubts. How so?
Fears and doubts, I link it to like so many different things and emotions in our books. But yeah, like there's so many ways to link the fears to shoulds and doubt. Cause like, I mean, if you name like a fear, like I think often too, like the fear, the fear of failure, the fear of just even like, we have so many fears on a daily basis that we aren't aware of. Like, right. I'm afraid to ask my friend, like if they can, if I can cancel. I'm afraid to ask for help. I'm afraid of getting a no. You're afraid of being judged. Like there's so many things. And then also the doubts like holding us back from like what we want to do, what we want to say, even to ask the thing, because it's oftentimes, oh, well, I feel like I should just do it this way. Oh, I shouldn't ask them because I'm just going to get a no. Like I should be further along. I should we're doubting ourselves. And that's also doubting our worth and what we think we're capable of, because we're feeling like we're often looking again, like outside in comparison or what we think other people think of us. And like, so for me, the constant, like, again, like it can even be like, oh, I want to reach out to this person to see if maybe they would want, to work with me, or if they'd want to hang out sometime, whatever. Oh, well, they're probably just going to say no. So I shouldn't, like these things, like where we stop ourselves and feeling like I shouldn't do that. I should be this way. I should be that. And oftentimes it's like doubting ourselves is what keeps us stuck into that. Instead of, again, what if you just questioned that? Like one of my favorite things is like that you can doubt your doubts and question your fears. And then you'll see that it's usually what's holding you back is because you're telling yourself some version of I shouldn't, or I should be this. I shouldn't do this. I shouldn't ask them. Like a lot of should nots, I think, are in the doubts and fears, but also like, yeah, the comparison ones. And then you doubt that you can do what you've seen other people do, or blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Or even like as a mom, you're talking about as a young mom, like, right, you're doubting, and like so many, I remember being a younger mom that's like, yeah, feel like I should be doing things a certain way. So I would doubt myself constantly in the fear of doing things wrong. And that was because like, it was looking more at like, oh, what should I be doing? What's the way I should be getting my kid to sleep, my baby to sleep? I thought they were just going to fall asleep on their own. What, like, so it's like, we're questioning ourselves, not in the way of like questioning our thoughts, but questioning what actually might be working because we're looking outside to what other people are doing or what other people say.
Oh my gosh. I think one of the biggest motivators for eventually having a second child is just that I've done so much work to understand how to raise this first one. I want to just be able to use that knowledge again, But you're right. There's so many shoulds. There's so many ways to do everything, especially parenting, but anything, building a business, being in a relationship, what the structure of your relationship looks like. I actually have a friend who doesn't live with her husband, and everyone's like, oh my God, that must not be a very good marriage. And for most people, for maybe a lot of people, it wouldn't be, but for her, she feels like it's the only way she can be married. And so it's like, we have more choices around even the things that are so structured that everyone's doing it the same way. And it's like, wait, is somebody forcing me into this thing right now this way? And I find that it comes up with every stage of anything. Like maybe I'm like, yeah, I'm building my business my own way, but then I'm a year in and all of a sudden I'm like stressing about Instagram's new algorithm. And I'm like, who cares? I don't even care about Instagram. Like there are a ton of other ways to grow a business. Why do I think I need to do that one? Is it just because my 5 other influencer friends have these huge followings, And so just taking a moment to get curious about why you feel this way, where it's coming from, if maybe you have more options than you think you do, is just so powerful. Well, one of the things that you talk about too, and you mentioned it earlier, was about how, especially when other people are involved, it can breed resentment or disappointment or guilt or shame. How do you start identifying the things that you're holding on to, or the things that you're holding those emotions around, so that you can actually start to heal them? Because it's one thing to look at it with yourself. You have to start making changes. You can feel the energy shifts. But when other people are involved and you realize how many shoulds you're holding around the people around you, it can be a little bit more difficult to heal, I would think.
Yeah, I love that question. I loved what you were mentioning about your friend and like her marriage and living in a different house, where I like love hearing stuff like that, right? Like good for them. And it's so interesting because the people that would hear that and like get alarmed or like, oh no, you shouldn't do that, right? Like they might not even say it, but in their mind, it's like, no, that's not the way you should be married, right? And it's interesting to me too. It's like, well, why do we like care? If it works, like the only person it needs to work for are the people in that marriage and that family, right? Like, but it's like, we do this automatically where we start to feel like, I think what can happen, and I talk about this in the book, and I think it's related to like moms too. It's like, it's so interesting to notice what can happen and when we can get clear on our side of the street of the expectation, the resentment, the disappointment, the blame, and notice like, oh, what am I feeling? Like naming the feeling is huge for me of, oh, what is going on? Like, what is this like feeling? Or again, it's just like the discomfort I can feel in my body where I'm not able to be like fully present, or I don't have as like an easier access to joy, right? It's just like, oh, things feel harder. Oh, what's going on? And then noticing, oh, right, I'm disappointed, or I feel why, or I feel resentful, like I feel anger, and then looking at why. And I have like a series of questions that I take myself through in the book in a couple of different ways, depending on what's coming up. But like naming the feeling is really powerful. And then again, looking at, well, what is there? And, I walk through in the book too, these ways of like, okay, well, how can I take responsibility for like a miscommunication you had? Or like, we can often be disappointed and set expectations and because we realize we have expectations for people. We don't actually. I want you to realize the expectations you may have set that weren't clearly communicated. Like we're disappointed a lot because we are expecting other people to act a certain way, but we haven't communicated that. And so we get disappointed about that. And so there is like one, the taking accountability, taking responsibility of like, oh, right, I'm disappointed about this, but I actually wasn't clear about that that's what I wanted, that's what I was hoping would happen from this. So getting like clear on your side of the street, but then it can often feel like, well, they should already know. They should, they should have said that to me first. They should be this way. And so it really is like looking at making sure like your side of the street is clean. Like you have looked at, okay, this is where I can take responsibility or this, but then also seeing if you're continuously having these feelings with the same people over and over again, then also like, maybe you need to shift that relationship. Like if you're constantly struggling with that disappointment and then you're like, oh, right, okay, where can I take responsibility? And here's okay, so I'm going to communicate clearer or that. If you have to constantly keep coming up these same things with these same people, then it's looking at reframing that relationship. And that sometimes is a communication, and sometimes that's just like you creating this sort of new boundary for yourself and how you relate to that person. Because if you're constantly putting yourself in that place to keep feeling disappointed, keep feeling like, you're blaming them for things, then it's like, how can you make that easier for yourself by not continuously to engage in that relationship? And some, of course, is like family, right? You mentioned like you have like the stuff with your mom. I have stuff with my mom too. I think that's like kind of part of life, right? That a lot of people, majority of people are going to have these issues with their parents as much as they love them and can see, it makes sense because you see them as a whole person and they're not just your parent in that. But also we have these things, but also you can create boundaries in what you share with them, how you allow them in your life. And then also create these like ways for yourself to, it sounds like you've done, like, to have this like, okay, how can I get grounded, give myself space, taking this information from a less reactive place. But so again, it's taking a lot of accountability for your own stuff and then seeing you can't change other people. You can try to, and I do again in the book have ways to communicate. And that's too, we often focus a lot on shoulding ourselves and looking at our own stuff, but looking at conversations with other people and what are we expecting of other people and feeling like they should do it this way. They shouldn't be married like that. They should be like this. They should already know this. And looking at too, when we're judging people, like, how does that serve you? I often think that we judge. And by the way, again, I'm so in the book over and over saying to not fault yourself or like, oh gosh, I'm such a judgmental person. I'm so this, so I'm bad. These are all things that are just part of our human makeup. So not be like, I'm such a terrible person because I judged, but see, I'm judging right now, or I just judged that person. What's going on there? Again, getting inquisitive with love and compassion for yourself and this humanness you have. So why am I judging them for their marriage? Because it might be like, wow, I wish I could be that free or make that choice in my marriage. Or maybe where am I doing something that's not really fulfilling me and serving me? But also, I think, going back to parenting and like the sleeping situation, I think people can judge the other person. Oh, that person did sleep turning and that person co-sleeping. Why do we have to feel there can be such this powerful, it's like so painful. You talked about in the mom Facebook groups and how harsh they can be. And it makes no sense to me because especially being a new first-time mom is like the hardest thing. As prepared as you think you could be, then why is there so much mom shaming and judgment? I think that it's just this self-defense mechanism that they assume, like it's like we're not aware it's happening, but if if they did this, then they must think I'm wrong. So I automatically have to defend myself and that there's I'm right and you're wrong. And it's really but again, if that works for them and their family, why do I care? Why am I making this a thing? Wait, look more at, am I happy with my choices? Am I happy with what I'm doing? Does it feel aligned for where I'm at right now? Okay. And so again, keep coming back to yourself and not, why are you so concerned with other people's choices and lives and that they're taking your, I don't know. It's just such an interesting thing.
When I notice that I'm judging somebody else, one of the ways that I interrupt my own spiral of God, why are you so judgmental? Is that I recognize it as that's likely the same way that I'm judging myself. And I'm probably even more judgmental about it because I'm still a little bit insecure about my own choice. And I think that's why it can be so feisty in those new mom groups. My baby was born February 2021 and there's all these Facebook groups for moms of February 2021 babies. And it's oh, cool, we're all in this together. But man, nope, people got so feisty right after their babies were born. I had to leave all the groups. But one of the things that also helps when I realize I'm beating myself up, it was I listened to the audiobook of Byron Katie's Loving What Is, and she's coaching somebody through this moment in this audiobook. I'm not sure if the physical book does something similar, maybe it transcribes it, but it's a real raw example of her with this guy on stage. And he sounds like he's maybe in his 20s or 30s, and he's a seeker. He's trying to find his spiritual footing, and his parents are, I don't know which religion, but it's some pretty extreme, very, I don't know, they just live by their religion. And he's talking to Byron Katie about showing them a better way. And she always makes people turn it around. Now turn it around and say it about you and reword the sentence instead of and so he writes a letter to his parents and he's I just wish you would see that, that there's another way to live than just the way you're living. She's turn that around. And he's like, I wish that I could see that there's another way to live than just the way I'm living, or something along those lines. And it's just so powerful because it shows that so often you can change those words and realize, wait, I'm not giving them the same grace that they're giving me. And one of the things that kept coming up is that his parents keep judging him. And she's and are you not judging them for the way that they are? And so he kind of had this aha moment, and she's your parents judge. They're humans. That's what they do. We judge. We judge everything that we see, whether or not we're trying not to judge it or not. And I was oh my God, thank you for saying that, because, I feel I've done so much work on myself. A lot of times I'm I should be further along on this judgment journey, rather than just being oh, there it is again, another chance for a lesson, another chance for me to work on this new way that I am aiming to be.
Yeah, I love that. That's so good. And that's what, it's been so helpful to me. And like I said, I keep trying to relate. And every time I'm doing a conversation or in the book, it's again, these are just parts of the human experience that you're not going to reach a point where you've never judged again. It's just you might judge less, but again, they happen, and it is self-defense. And then looking at, oh, what's going on here? Why am I judging them? Oh, because they got what I wanted. Okay, great. And so it can make me also look well, what am I doing? Am I doing anything? On Instagram, again, can go into comparison of, oh, well, that person got that opportunity. Oh, why did they always get everything and I don't? And I'm also well, okay, yeah, there might be whatever. Oh, well, there is the truth of like they were born and raised here and they have a lot more connections, like, so there might be like that sort of stuff. But then also like, great, if I want those opportunities, what am I doing about it besides sitting around thinking about it, right? Like, I'm like, oh, if I want like speaking opportunities, I guess I probably need to start like pitching myself as a speaker and not just waiting for someone to come remind me. So like, it's like, again, like these curiosity things, sometimes it's just like looking at, oh, okay, like that's what's happening here. And sometimes it gets me into action of, oh, I'm judging someone because they want what I have, but I actually haven't been doing anything to step towards that. Like, and so then I'm like resentful of like, well, where are my opportunities? Well, what am I doing to get those opportunities?
I love that. I feel like so much of this work, it's not even just about like, okay, not beating ourselves up anymore or, feeling happy in our day, even though that's such a huge part of it and a huge byproduct. But another byproduct of it is that when you commit to doing this work, you find out so much about yourself that you would have otherwise just glossed over or just lived this part of your life automatically or without thought or just the subconscious drivers of our behavior. But the moment that we start to slow down and notice where we're adding those shoulds to our life, when we're feeling off about something that we're doing and what's at the root of that, and where we're placing expectations on ourselves and other people, that is powerful self-work to understand more about yourself that's going to filter out in every area of your life. And I love giving my listeners something concrete to work on for the week. And I love the idea of just really taking mental note of when we hear ourselves with those shoulds that are directing our lives and what's around that. So if you were to give listeners like really direct guidance on how to practice this, what would you tell them?
I would love to give another option and I can, but but I feel so firmly that the awarenesses that do come to just paying attention to this one word. And it's so fun to like notice. I even like a friend of mine said that he just took my book on like a retreat that he went to where he didn't know anybody and he was reading the book and people were asking about it. And that he said that the whole retreat, he was the one reading it, but because he just told them what it was about, the whole retreat, anytime anybody said the word should, they were like, oh, and then they would go to reframe it. And I loved that so much. So it's like to not discount the power. And if like, why not just commit to one day? Because I think when we're like, oh, I can't commit to something for the rest of my life or like whatever, we don't do things because we act as if it's going to take too much time and be too hard. So I'm always about trying to make things be digestible. Even like when you were talking about like the cleaning the house at the end of the day, or like those things of getting yourself motivated to actually do the things that you don't want to do. Like one of my things is like just 5 minutes. I can just do 5 minutes and like choose like, yeah, I'm going to want to do this for 5 minutes. You can accomplish so much in 5 minutes if you just get into it. But so like commit to just one day. Can you commit to just one day of tuning into the word should, trying really hard to not use it, but also just even paying attention to it in the language that comes to you in newsletters, in Instagram, in media, just really paying attention to that word and seeing what happens when you switch it for want. Or, that's for most circumstances, but really just even paying attention to that word should and seeing how much it comes up and then how that makes you slow down. And it's like life-changing in so many ways. And again, I think the biggest thing I talk about self-awareness, but it's also, I'm so present. And sure, I am like, I've got a million things going on in my mind at all times. And yet I am really present to what's going on, where I am. And so that really affects how I experience my life. And when I'm when I'm doing things, that I'm there, when I'm taking a walk, that I can be so tuned into the beauty of nature. Like this way of life has given me like so much presence. And I'm aware that so often when I'm with other people, other parents or many kids, like that a lot of people, they just seem like there's so much running in the background. And again, I'm a busy thinker person there, but at the same time, I can have that and be like fully present. And for me, that's where like this access to joy is in being like in the present.
It's such an invitation for more self-exploration. Like if you are trying to reframe something to want and it still doesn't feel right, ask yourself why. Ask yourself if there's another way you can reframe it to feel better about it. Ask yourself if maybe this whole thing that you're questioning isn't right for you, And so that willingness or even just starting to spark the habit of tuning into yourself when you feel like something's not fully aligned or when you don't feel stoked about what you're doing is just a powerful habit in general, just to connect to your own inner guidance and ask yourself questions that might lead somewhere totally different. So for listeners that are really resonating with this and want to learn more, where is the best place for them to connect with you and find your book?
You can order it online at all the places. And, it is in a lot of bookstores, not all like local, but like Barnes and Nobles. But you can go to ftheshouldsdotheonce.com. And that has links to all the places. You can also get some bonuses still there that were part of my like pre-launch campaign. I kept a couple there. So ftheshouldsdotheonce.com. And then I'm at _Tricia Huffman on Instagram and TikTok. Tricia Huffman and Your Joyologist, because Your Joyologist is my brand that I went by for so long, are still like my main thing. So TriciaHuffman.com, YourJoyologist.com, Joyologist and Tricia Huffman will find me at all the places.
All the links for this episode will be at mindlove.com/X90. I bet you can guess what your challenge for this week is. I'm going to challenge you to drop the shoulds completely. I feel like this is a life choice that I'm just making from here on out. I'm sure I'll slip up 90% of the time. But what I'm hoping is that I get better year after year. And it's not about reaching this point where I completely stop saying shoulds as much as it is that I become more aware of the energy that my words carry. I become more aware of those hidden limiting beliefs that are underneath because of the words that I'm choosing. And so when should comes up, I can feel that. Usually, I just don't have enough awareness in that moment to bring attention to what I'm feeling. So instead, I say the should, I feel the stress, and with those two simple things, the should is running my life. The should is holding me back from my potential, or it's pressuring me to do something I don't want to do, or it's just taking the joy out of the present moment, or my confidence in my role of whatever I'm showing up for that day. So why? Let it go. And let me know how it goes. Let's hold each other accountable. If I say should in my Instagram story, help me cut that should out. I'm still going with this metaphor. I don't know if it's going to stop anytime soon. And don't forget to reach out to me on Instagram at mindlovemelissa or leave a comment right on the show notes page at mindlove.com/X90. If you'd like to support Mindlove, you can join Mindlove Premium at mindlove.com/premium or right in the Apple Podcasts app. You get ad-free listening, early releases, a whole backlog of over 50 exclusive episodes that are only available for premium members, and also other bonuses like meditations. You can also leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify. And if you do, I just might read your review on the show, as in I probably will. So leave that 5-star review. And finally, you can find all of my amazing sponsors at mindlove.com/sponsors. And that's all for today. So thanks for giving your mind a little love today, and I'll see you next time.